My name is Leila Anderson. I'm 27, born and raised in Denver, Colorado. I rent a small one-bedroom near Colfax, the kind with thin walls and a stubborn radiator that hisses in winter. I work from my kitchen table, and my chairs don't match. When people meet me with my friends, they see the mismatch first. They see what they want. The broke one who orders water with lemon and hopes it counts as a drink. They don't see the long nights, the quiet plans, or the reason I keep my head down when someone jokes at my expense. They don't see the way I track every detail, like a runner measuring each breath before a sprint. My friend group is loud and glossy. Emma Carter works in tech sales and wears heels that sound like a clock on marble floors. Sarah Mills is an interior designer who points out lighting in every room we enter. Brooke Jensen practices corporate law. She has a way of making waiters stand straighter. We met in college, drifted and reformed after graduation, like a flock that keeps the same sky. I've learned to smile and let things pass. I've also learned to remember. My mother says, memory is a ledger. You write down what people deposit and withdraw. I keep mine private. It's cheaper that way. Sometimes I picture us from above. 4 women walking down a street, the sun shining on 3 of them like a spotlight and shading the 4th in soft gray. From the ground, the view is different. From the ground, I hear the little comments, the tiny sighs when the check comes, the way my name becomes a shrug. I tell myself it's fine. I tell myself good things grow under quiet soil. I also tell myself, keep going. You're not done yet. Labels stick to you when you let others name you. With my friends, the label started as a joke. Leila's the frugal one, Emma would say, winking at the server like we were all in on something sweet. It shifted into budget queen, then slid into charity case one night when Sarah laughed and handed me her leftover truffle fries, like giving a dog a treat. Everyone roared. I smiled and tasted salt that didn't come from the fries. The label lived in group chats, too. When Brooke posted a photo of a champagne tower at a client's party, Emma replied, "Don't worry, we'll get Leila an orange juice pyramid." When I sent a picture of my thrift store coffee table, Sarah wrote, "Adorable! We love a rescue." They meant it as affection. At least that's what they told themselves. I learned to answer with emojis. Small faces take up less space. They didn't ask why I wasn't at rooftop gatherings. They assumed I couldn't afford the cover. Sometimes that was true. Sometimes I stayed home by choice, drinking tea at my chipped table while code compiled on my laptop. I liked the hum of it. I liked building something invisible that could still hold weight. Funny thing about labels, they make people lazy. Once you decide someone is a certain way, you stop looking closer. My friends stopped looking. I didn't mind. There's power in being underestimated. People talk around you. They forget to guard their words. They don't see your hands writing everything down. But the label rubbed raw some nights. When Emma said, "We love having you, even if we have to carry you," I laughed too loudly and then went quiet. In the mirror, I tried to see what they saw. The girl who needed covering. The girl who took up extra seats without paying full price. My reflection didn't match the story. That mismatch was a splinter I refused to leave under the skin. Here is what nobody knew. I ran an online education platform from that crooked kitchen table. It started with a weekend idea 2 years ago. Short, beginner-friendly courses for small business owners who felt lost online. I filmed the first lessons with a borrowed ring light and a stack of shoeboxes holding up my phone. I kept the tone simple and warm, the way a good teacher talks when the class is tired. Step by step. No shame for not knowing. Clearer wins. I posted quietly. 10 sign-ups, then 50. A florist in Ohio wrote to say she made her first online order after lesson 3. A home baker in Idaho booked her calendar through summer. Word of mouth did the rest. I added modules, built a community forum, hired 2 part-time moderators from Kansas and Vermont. I kept costs light and tracked every metric like it was a pulse. Revenue turned from a trickle into a stream, then into something that made my hands shake when I saw the totals. I didn't tell my friends, not because I wanted to hide, but because I liked the private bloom of it. I liked waking at 5, writing scripts, recording, editing, answering questions, and then watching students congratulate each other. It felt like passing a torch down a line of cold hands. Money changes rooms. Even before I had it, I knew that truth. I didn't want to test my friends with it, not yet. I wanted the thing I built to be strong enough to carry itself without applause or permission. So I kept wearing the same winter coat. I kept saying no to Thursday cocktails. I kept nodding when Brooke called me sensible, as if modesty were a costume I forgot to take off. Sometimes, late at night, I opened a folder labeled Next. Inside it sat plans that made my chest ache. The kind of ache that means you're growing. I didn't know exactly when I'd turn the page. I only knew I would. There's a reason I don't laugh at certain jokes. The reason has a date and a room and a face. Senior year of college, we had a capstone project in our Intro to Systems class. Build a small program. Document it. Present it. I built a scheduling tool for campus tutors. Simple, clean, and fast. I lived in the computer lab that spring, sleeping in a sweatshirt with the school logo and chewing stale granola bars like they were a food group. Emma and I weren't close then, but we shared a friend circle. She visited the lab one night with a latte, said she wanted to see my work. I was flattered. She perched on the edge of a chair, red nails tapping the table while I showed her the interface. She smiled and called it cute. When my back was turned to grab my charger, something changed. I didn't see her fingers move. I only noticed later, after my login failed, after my files showed empty folders where code used to live. At first, I thought it was a glitch. I ran recovery tools. I hunted in trash bins and temp caches. Whole modules were gone. I found one text file left behind. A single line. Oops. I stood in the blinking light of the lab, breathing like I'd run upstairs. When I confronted her the next day, Emma laughed. Relax! It's just a joke. You have backups, right? I did, but they were old. Days of work were ashes. I rebuilt. I rebuilt with a kind of heat I had never known. Longer nights, tougher code, cleaner notes. I finished on time. I passed. But a thread inside me pulled tight and stayed that way. People who destroy and call it a joke trust you to accept the punchline. I learned not to. I learned the quiet art of keeping receipts. After graduation, Emma and I drifted back together through mutual friends. She forgot that night. I never did. The Miami trip started as a fun idea in our group chat. Brooke's client had mentioned a new luxury resort on the beach, all glass and palms and white loungers like clouds. Emma sent photos of ocean views. Sarah planned matching sun hats. My screen filled with upgrades, spa menus, cabana packages, and champagne brunches. I watched the stream of links flow by, like a river I wasn't meant to cross. Then Emma wrote, Leila, we'll make it easy for you. Come anyway. We'll figure it out. A smiling heart, a winky face, kindness dressed like a pat on the head. I typed, "Thanks." Sounds fun. I stared at the blinking cursor and added, "I can swing it." 3 dots appeared, then paused, then vanished. A minute later, Sarah asked what size I wore. She had an old handbag that might help me blend. I said I was all set. She sent a thumbs up and a photo of a gold tote anyway. They assumed I'd stay in their room, split the cheapest options, and let them cover the rest, with jokes about how generous they were. I could hear it already. Group rates for our group rate. I could see Emma's grin, Brooke's lifted brow, Sarah's careful pity. I felt the old heat rise in my chest. Not anger exactly, more like the moment, before a race, when you roll your shoulders and settle your breath. I booked a coach flight. I booked something else, too, quietly, with a confirmation email that made my fingers tingle when it arrived. I didn't brag. I didn't hint. I packed sunscreen, a linen dress, and the steady calm that comes when you know a chapter is about to turn. On the day we were set to leave, Emma posted a selfie in black sunglasses. Miami girls. Let's go. I smiled at my screen and whispered to myself, not a joke. Not this time. The flight morning began with a group chat full of noise. Sarah was already at the airport lounge, posting a mimosa with the caption, "Vacation officially starts here." Brooke had ordered an Uber Black, of course. Emma was late, but bragging about how her driver had the best leather seats. I wheeled my small carry-on to the bus stop. The ride took an hour, winding through traffic with people clutching backpacks and worn duffels. Nobody looked at me twice. That anonymity felt good. By the time I arrived at the terminal, they were already gathered near check-in, sunglasses perched like crowns. Emma waved. "Leila, you made it." Her tone carried surprise, as if she expected me to vanish before the gate. Brooke glanced at my bus pass sticking out of my pocket and smirked. "Old school," she said. "Reliable," I answered, lifting my chin. At security, they joked about the weight of my suitcase. "Probably just books and cardigans," Sarah teased. I smiled. Inside, I was replaying the voice on the phone call from 2 days ago. "Yes, Miss Anderson. Everything is confirmed for Friday night. The staff will be ready." That voice was my secret armor. On the plane, they clustered together in upgraded seats, snapping selfies with champagne flutes. I slipped into economy, row 25, middle seat. The man next to me smelled of peppermint and fell asleep before takeoff. I stared out the window as clouds swallowed the city. My pulse steadied with the hum of the engines. Emma texted the group, "Don't worry, Leila. We'll save you a slice of the free bread." Laughing emojis poured in. I locked my phone and let the comment pass. If only they knew. If only they could see what was waiting. The thought made me smile. Soft and secret. The kind of smile that comes when you know the joke is about to flip. Miami hit me like a wave of heat and salt. The air was heavy. The kind that sticks to your skin and whispers you're far from Denver now. The others emerged from arrivals like celebrities. Emma adjusting her hair, Sarah complaining about the humidity, Brooke giving orders to the driver, who held a sign with their last name spelled wrong. I rolled my carry-on toward them. "Did you bus it here too?" Emma quipped, tugging her designer luggage toward the curb. I shrugged. I flew like everyone else. They laughed, not cruelly, but sharp enough to leave a mark. The black SUVs lined up for them like a parade. I walked with them, then paused, pulling out my phone. A quick call. A calm voice answered. "Yes, Miss Anderson. Your driver is here." I looked up just as a sleek silver car pulled to the side. The driver stepped out, holding my name on a clean placard. I didn't move toward him yet. Timing was everything. Instead, I slid into the back seat of their SUV, tucked between Sarah's tote and Brooke's perfume cloud. They were too busy gossiping to notice the small smile still on my lips. As we drove toward the resort, the ocean glittered like a sheet of glass. My friends posted videos, laughing with filters and hashtags. I stayed quiet, my eyes fixed on the horizon. I thought of nights, coding, while their laughter filled college bars. I thought of Emma's oops note, still saved on a drive at home. Betrayals don't vanish. They wait, like shells buried under sand. When the resort appeared in the distance, white towers rising above palms, they gasped. "This is paradise," Sarah said. Emma squealed. Brooke nodded in approval. I leaned forward, studying the building. Paradise, maybe, but for me, this weekend was something sharper. It was a stage. The lobby was marble and glass, tall ceilings echoing with soft piano music. Gold accents gleamed on the walls, and staff in crisp uniforms smiled at every step. My friends moved like they belonged, heels clicking, bags swaying, sunglasses still on indoors. I trailed behind, pretending to be absorbed by a display of orchids. At the desk, Brooke announced their reservation with the confidence of someone used to upgrades. 3 nights, ocean view suite. The clerk tapped keys and nodded. Emma leaned closer, whispering something about late checkout. Sarah adjusted her sunglasses and whispered, "Don't forget to ask for extra robes." When it came to me, Emma smirked. "She's with us, of course." The clerk glanced at me, polite but questioning. I simply smiled. "Yes, with them. For now." Emma snorted. "For now? What? You have a penthouse." She laughed loudly enough to draw stares. My cheeks burned, but inside, I felt a thrill. If only she knew how close to the truth her mockery was. Keys were handed over. They grabbed theirs and joked about who'd get the best bed. "Not Leila, obviously," Emma said. "She's a pro at couches." Sarah laughed so hard she had to wipe her eyes. Brooke offered a diplomatic shrug. "She won't mind. Right, Leila?" I smiled. Not at all. We rode the elevator to the 12th floor. Their chatter filled the mirrored walls. I caught my reflection. Hair frizzed from the humidity, plain jeans, a soft smile. The girl they saw, not the woman who had already arranged something they couldn't imagine. In the suite, they threw bags on beds, called dibs on views, and flopped dramatically onto the mattresses. Emma pointed at the pull-out sofa. "There you go, our charity case corner." They howled again. I set my bag down gently, as if placing a chess piece. Check was coming. That night, we went to a trendy restaurant Emma had picked weeks earlier. Neon lights, thumping bass, cocktails balanced with smoking herbs. The table glowed with candlelight, menus as thick as novels. Brooke ordered champagne before anyone sat down. As the drinks came, Emma leaned toward me. "Don't worry, Leila. We'll cover you again." She winked like a benevolent queen. Sarah laughed, raising her glass. "To sisterhood." I lifted my water. "To memories?" I said softly. But inside, the words cut like glass. Again. Always again. The food arrived. Dishes stacked high, sauces painted across plates. They snapped photos before tasting a bite. I ate slowly, one forkful at a time. letting their chatter float above me. Halfway through, Emma nudged me. "You know, if you ever need to borrow a bag for tomorrow..." Sarah brought a backup. "It's vintage, but it might help you look the part." Sarah beamed. "It's a classic." She reached into her tote and pulled out a faded handbag, the leather cracked near the clasp. She slid it across the table, "So you don't look out of place at the resort." I touched the bag, then slid it back gently. "Thanks, but I'm fine." Sarah's smile faltered. Emma smirked. Brooke sipped her drink, pretending not to notice the tension. I excused myself to the restroom. In the mirror, I steadied my breath. My reflection stared back, calm, composed, but burning underneath. The betrayal wasn't the bag. It was the assumption that I needed fixing, that I was always behind. When I returned, I tucked my phone under the table and sent one message: "Confirm tomorrow's arrangements." The reply came instantly. "Done." I ate dessert quietly, spooning sweetness into my mouth, tasting the bitterness of years pressing against my teeth. Sleep didn't come easy. Their laughter echoed through the sweet walls as they scrolled TikTok and tried on outfits for the next day. I lay on the pull-out sofa, staring at the ceiling, my phone glowing in my hand. My mind slipped backward, nights in college, coding while music thudded from dorm parties down the hall. My fingers tapping keys, chasing bugs through endless lines of code. Coffee cold, eyes burning, but determination alive. I remembered the morning after Emma's joke, when I opened my laptop to find whole weeks of work erased. The laughter when she shrugged it off. The humiliation when I begged the professor for an extension. But I also remembered something else. The feeling when I rebuilt. Faster, smarter, better. Anger forged into fuel. Betrayal turned into discipline. That night, I whispered to myself, "Never again." I meant it. Now, in the dark of the Miami suite, I whispered the same words. "Never again. Not tonight. Not this weekend." The clock ticked past midnight. My phone buzzed. "Good evening, Emma Sanderson." Just a reminder. Everything is ready. The villa awaits. I locked the screen and rolled onto my side. Emma's soft snores filled the room. Sarah murmured in her sleep. Brooke rustled papers even now, probably reading contracts under the covers. I smiled into the darkness. Tomorrow wasn't about revenge with fire and fury. Tomorrow was about unveiling, about showing them the girl they thought they carried was walking miles ahead. Sleep came then, soft and steady. Morning sun spilled through gauzy curtains. The suite smelled of perfume and coffee. Sarah was already dressed, hair twisted into a sleek bun. Emma lounged in a robe, scrolling her phone, while Brooke stood at the window on a business call. Finally awake, Emma teased when I emerged from the sofa bed. "Rough night on the pull-out." I stretched, unfazed. "I've had worse." They chuckled. Sarah pressed a croissant into my hand. "Eat. We've got a spa appointment in an hour." I nodded, chewing slowly. My phone buzzed with another message. "Transportation is set. Just say the word." The spa was everything they wanted. Cucumber water, white robes, soft lighting. They lounged in pools and whispered about boys, clients, and bonuses. Emma splashed water toward me. "Bet you've never had this kind of luxury, huh?" I smiled. "You'd be surprised." Her laugh echoed, sharp and dismissive. After, they browsed boutiques. Sarah bought a scarf. Brooke picked out sunglasses. Emma tried on heels. I walked beside them. My bag light, but my heart heavy with anticipation. At lunch, they ordered champagne again. The waiter poured glasses, bowing. Emma raised hers. To our little group, the glam squad plus Leila. The toast stung, but I clinked anyway. Inside, I counted hours. By evening, they wouldn't dare call me plus anything. The day blurred into sun, chatter, and endless reminders that I was the outsider. At the pool, they compared designer swimsuits. Emma flicked water at me. "Careful, Leila. Don't drown in the shallow end." Sarah giggled. Brooke barely looked up from her phone. I laughed politely, sliding into the water. Beneath the surface, I let my smile fade. My lungs filled with calm air. Soon, by late afternoon, we returned to the suite. They flopped on beds, exhausted from luxury. Emma stretched, eyeing me. "So, what's your plan tonight, Leila?" "Netflix on the pull-out while we hit the club." I pulled out my phone. "Actually, I have something else arranged." Her brows shot up. "Arranged? Like a dinner special at the cafe?" I only smiled. "Something like that." Brooke laughed, low and skeptical. Sarah rolled her eyes. Emma shook her head. "You always crack me up." I turned away, dialing a number. My voice stayed calm. "Yes, it's Leila Anderson. I'll be down in 20 minutes. Emma snorted. "Who are you calling? Room service?" I slid my phone back into my pocket, my pulse steady as stone. They didn't know it yet. But tonight was the night the game flipped. We walked into the lobby again that evening, dressed for dinner. Emma led the way in her red dress. Sarah in silk. Brooke in sleek black. I wore a simple linen outfit. Pale blue, the kind they thought looked quaint. They strutted to the desk, laughing about VIP perks. I followed, my bag rolling behind me. The clerk greeted them warmly, but when his eyes landed on me, his smile shifted. He straightened and bowed slightly. "Good evening, Miss Anderson. Your arrangements are ready." Emma snorted. "Miss Anderson? Please, she's with us." The clerk ignored her and continued. "Your villa staff is waiting outside. Would you like them to take your luggage now?" Silence spread across the marble floor. Sarah blinked. Brooke frowned. Emma laughed too loudly. "Villa staff? You must be mistaken. Our friend here is on the pull-out sofa." The clerk only nodded toward me. "Not tonight. Ms. Anderson's private villa is next door." The air thickened. My friends turned to me, eyes wide, waiting for me to explain the joke. I smiled softly. Actually, he's right. I have my own place here. Emma's mouth fell open. "What do you mean, your own place?" I adjusted my bag strap. "You'll see." Outside, a golf cart waited with 2 uniformed staff. One held a sign, "Welcome, Ms. Anderson." The other reached for my luggage. My friends followed like shadows, their heels clicking in disbelief. The cart drove us past glowing pools and swaying palms, then turned toward a private path lined with lanterns. Sarah whispered, "This looks like a movie." Emma crossed her arms. "What is this, Leila? Did you win a sweepstakes or something?" I looked at her calmly. "Not exactly." When the cart stopped, a villa appeared. Modern lines, glass walls glowing warm from within. The entrance bore a wooden sign engraved with Anderson Villa. Staff opened the doors with a flourish. Inside, white couches, a private pool glittering in the back, and a dining table set with candles. Brooke finally spoke, her lawyer's tone flat. "You bought this?" I nodded. 6 months ago. Emma's face drained. "With what money?" I met her eyes. "From my company." Her laugh cracked. Company? You? Yes, I said simply. The one I built, while you were too busy laughing. The staff carried my bags into the villa. My friends stepped in slowly, as if crossing into another world. Sarah ran her fingers along the marble counter. Brooke inspected the art on the walls. Emma stood frozen, her smile brittle. I poured myself a glass of water from a crystal pitcher. This weekend, I didn't need covering. I didn't need pity. I came to enjoy what I've worked for. Emma scoffed. You've been hiding this? Why? Because you never saw me beyond your assumptions, I said. You saw a label. You never asked what else was happening in my life. And in your case, Emma, I paused, letting the silence drag. You once tried to erase my work. Remember senior year? Her face twitched. That was a joke. I smiled without warmth. Funny how jokes leave scars. Funny how scars can build empires. The villa's welcome board still glowed with my name. Welcome, Ms. Anderson. My friends couldn't take their eyes off it. Emma paced, muttering under her breath. Sarah sat down hard on the couch, staring at the pool. Brooke's lawyerly calm cracked into curiosity. Leila, Brooke said carefully, why didn't you tell us? Because you wouldn't have believed me, I replied. Because every time I tried to share something, someone made a joke. Because it was easier to let you think I was small. Sarah finally whispered, We didn't know. That's the point, I said. You never looked close enough to know. Emma burst out. Oh, please, you're acting like some saint. You built a website or whatever, and now you think you're better than us? I tilted my head. Better? No, just not the weak one you thought I was. Dinner was served in the villa that night, not at their chosen restaurant. The staff lit candles, brought platters of seafood and fruit. My friends sat stiffly around the table. No laughter this time. The silence between us was louder than the ocean outside. I raised my glass. To truth. Brooke sipped slowly, eyes watchful. Sarah managed a small smile. Emma slammed her drink down. You're ridiculous. You made us look stupid. No, I said evenly. You did that yourselves. I never asked for pity gifts or hand-me-downs. I let you think what you wanted. And tonight, I let you see the truth. Emma's face burned red. All this secrecy. For what? To embarrass us. I leaned forward. No, to free myself from the label you tried to stick on me. As the night ended, staff cleared dishes and left us alone. The villa hummed with quiet. Emma sat apart, arms crossed, refusing to meet my eyes. Sarah twisted her scarf, her guilt plain. Brooke stood near the window, tapping her chin, calculating. Finally, Sarah whispered, I'm sorry. For the bag. For the jokes. I thought I was helping. I nodded. I know, but help without respect isn't kindness. Brooke sighed. You proved your point, Leila. They underestimated you. Emma snapped. It was a joke, okay? College, the project. Get over it. I stood, my voice steady. I did get over it. That's why I'm here. That's why there's a villa with my name on it. Emma paled, her anger slipping into something else. Fear, or maybe shame. I didn't press further. Her silence was enough. The morning after the reveal, the air in the villa felt heavy. Sunlight poured through the glass walls, but none of us moved to the pool or the balcony. Sarah made coffee but didn't speak. Brooke scrolled her phone, pretending to read emails. Emma sat in silence, arms wrapped tightly around herself. I sat at the dining table, letting the quiet stretch. Finally, Brooke broke it. "So, what now? You've been living a double life, Leila. We deserve an explanation." I looked at her calmly. "You don't deserve anything. But I'll give you this. I never hid because I was ashamed. I hid because none of you cared to ask. You saw me as your project, your charity. And in Emma's case," I turned, locking eyes with her, "you tried to break me once. I chose not to let you do it again." Emma's face tightened. "You're still hung up on that stupid joke?" My voice stayed steady. "That joke cost me weeks of work. It cost me dignity. It burned a hole I had to fill with sleepless nights. And in the end, it made me stronger. But don't confuse my strength for forgiveness." Sarah whispered, "We didn't mean harm." I set my coffee cup down. "You didn't mean to care either." The tension cracked during breakfast. Emma slammed her fork down. "You think you're better than us now. Fine. Enjoy your villa. Enjoy your money. Just remember who carried you when you had nothing." Her words stung, but I breathed through them. "Carried me?" I repeated softly. "You carried the story of me that made you feel generous. Not the truth. You never carried me. You carried your egos." Brooke shifted uncomfortably. "She has a point, Emma." Emma glared. "Of course you'd take her side now. Everyone loves a winner." I shook my head. "This isn't about winning. It's about respect. Something I had to demand because you refused to give it freely." Sarah's voice cracked. "Leila, I'm sorry, truly. I thought giving you things meant love. But I see now it was pity. I hate that I made you feel small." I nodded, a little softened. Apology accepted. "But don't confuse pity with friendship again." That afternoon, they sat by my villa's pool. Sarah spoke softly, regret coloring every word. Brooke asked careful questions about my company, her curiosity almost genuine. Emma, however, sulked in the corner, scrolling her phone furiously, as though the screen might shield her from the weight of the truth. Finally, Brooke said, "So why invite us here at all? Why not just stay hidden?" I leaned back in my chair. "Because respect has to be taught sometimes, and this weekend was my classroom." Emma scoffed, not looking up. "Dramatic." I studied her. "Still can't admit what you did, that you sabotaged me?" She rolled her eyes. "It was years ago. You rebuilt. Clearly you're fine." "Fine," I said, my voice sharp now. "Doesn't erase betrayal. And betrayal leaves a stain, Emma. I don't forget stains." The silence that followed was heavier than any words. That night, I made my decision. I gathered them at the dining table, a soft dinner laid out by the villa staff. I looked each of them in the eye. "Tomorrow, before you leave, you're welcome to one last dinner here. But understand this. Respect is the price of admission. If you can't give it, don't come." Sarah's eyes filled. "I'll come, and I'll respect you." Brooke nodded slowly. "Me too." Emma crossed her arms. "Oh, please. You're not a queen to demand loyalty." I smiled faintly. "No, but I'm someone who's earned the right not to be mocked in her own house." Her jaw tightened, but she said nothing. As they left for the night, I lingered by the pool, the ocean breeze brushing my face. For years, I had carried their labels in silence. Now I had shed them, one by one. The waves crashed softly in the distance, Revenge hadn't needed fire or fury. It had needed truth, and truth was louder than any laugh they'd ever thrown at me. The final morning carried a strange calm. Sunlight filtered through wide glass windows, and the villa smelled of fresh bread and citrus. Sarah helped set the table without being asked. Brooke poured coffee, quieter than usual. Emma lingered near the pool, scrolling but not laughing, her silence louder than her words. As we sat down, Sarah broke the quiet. "Leila, last night I thought about everything. I was wrong. Pity isn't friendship. I don't want to be that person anymore. You deserved better from me." Her words softened something inside me. "Thank you," I said. "That means more than you think." Brooke looked at me, steady and analytical. "You've built something remarkable. And you did it while we all underestimated you." "That's impressive. I admire it." For a moment, admiration replaced tension. But Emma's scoff shattered it. "So now she's our hero? Please! She just got lucky." I met her eyes calmly. Luck doesn't code through nights or rebuilds stolen work. Luck doesn't grow a company from a kitchen table. Luck doesn't buy a villa 6 months in advance. Her cheeks burned, but she looked away. The silence told me what words never would. She knew, and it haunted her. Later, we lounged by the pool. Sarah dipped her feet in the water, sighing. "You've changed, Leila." I shook my head. "I haven't changed. I just stopped hiding." Brooke nodded. "And maybe we've changed too. Or we need to." Emma glared at the ocean. "This is ridiculous. Friendship isn't a competition. Just because you have money now doesn't make you better." I leaned forward, voice steady. "You're right. Friendship isn't a competition. It's not about who pays the bill. It's about who claps when you win. And Emma, you've never clapped for me. Not once." She opened her mouth, then closed it. The truth had nailed her down. Sarah whispered, "Then maybe it's time we decide who we want to be in this friendship." The moment was sharp, the air heavy, but for the first time I felt no weight pressing on me. I had already decided. That evening, the villa glowed golden as the sun sank into the horizon. We gathered for one last meal. The ocean roared softly, as if marking the end of something. Sarah hugged me before sitting. "Thank you for letting me see you clearly." Brooke raised her glass, to building more than anyone expected. Emma sat stiffly, her envy like smoke in the air. She didn't toast, didn't smile, didn't apologize, and I no longer needed her to. When dinner ended, I walked them to the door. "Not everyone who starts the journey with you should finish it," I said. "But those who stay must stay with respect." Sarah's eyes shone. Brooke gave a nod. Emma turned away. After they left, I stood alone by the pool, watching the stars bloom over the sea. The laughter that once cut me no longer held power. I had turned betrayal into strength, pity into proof, silence into a stage. True revenge, I realized, wasn't in ruining them. It was in thriving anyway, in standing tall where they expected me to fall. And in that quiet, with the waves whispering, I finally felt free.